So this is a pod that dropped earlier today, and this is ourselves here. You can see I'll big screen this. So what we talked about on the show, I don't need to play, like maybe I'll play a snippet of this, but basically, you know, Britt Baker comes out, she's suspended in kayfabe, or maybe it's real life. People don't know. And so you see Alfred Konuwa, shout him out. I'm doing his show tomorrow. I don't know what we're doing. We're doing something tomorrow. I don't This is Nasty says Britt Baker was suspended by the EVPs as part of a storyline just in time for the anniversary of Brawl In and Brawl Out. The more things change backstage in AEW, the more things stay the same. So we had discovered on Reddit that Adam Cole had put out a message to the Chugs universe, I guess. He's called Chugs in his gaming world. That's his gaming name or whatever. And he told them all, hey, guys, I'm moving to PA, from Florida to PA by myself, or like alone. So I won't be around for a bit, da-da-da-da-da. We assumed on this last show, we said, well, maybe because if you watch the 10 minutes of Tony Khan video on my Pro Wrestle Clips channel, you're already there watching this show. Go and check that out later some other time. You guys see it, man. Adam Cole and Tony Khan, those guys love each other, bro. They're hugging. They're hugging. They're like, you know, they really like each other, dude. And so pause. But no. We're not insinuating anything like that. But what we are saying is it's pretty funny how much they kind of love each other. So I was like, damn, did Adam Cole and Britt Baker break up? And that's why she has heat. So we theorized that, what I said on the show was because Adam Cole's move is called the Panama Sunrise or whatever. So I'm assuming he's from Florida. And I'm like, dude, why would he be moving from Florida to PA, Pennsylvania, unless it was with Britt, who's from Pittsburgh, famously. But then people pointed out to me, Adam Cole, too, is actually from Pennsylvania. That's like where he's from, you know? So he's moving away from Florida, where like the AEW home base would be, to go back to Pennsylvania. Okay. So we thought maybe Britt Baker got suspended because maybe she broke up with Adam Cole and there's some weird tension or drama there. But then I also said maybe she got suspended in kayfabe because she's going to go help Adam Cole move or something. You know what I mean? Like if he's moving, maybe she's
going to drive the U-Haul for him or something.
Yeah, dude. Well, for real, like maybe Tony Khan, oh no, everything's great here. But he didn't realize, oh, like he's moving. Maybe I'll give Britt the week off to go help him move. I'm trying to, again, the way you said we have to think through the lens of Triple H. We got to think through the lens of Tony Khan. Like he's dumb enough to go, oh yeah, have the week off. You got to go help move. It's like me and Minnie. We've done it many times, you know? So like I that's what I'm speculating, right? But then I also bring up on the show, Adam Cole, apparently, according to this guy, Brad Shepard. Now, Brad Shepard is uber canceled, okay? Uber canceled. And Brad Shepard, as you see on the screen here, at Canceled Unleashed, is literally his handle, because this guy says crazy salacious. So I don't endorse him, but this guy has been right about stuff, and he's been saying this for a long time. So your boy Phil, I stay tapped in on everything. I stay tapped in on all the feds. I stay tapped in on all these sheets, and I know what these guys are doing. This guy's been like in a wormhole somewhere for the last year, but I've been paying attention, and he's been saying for a long time that Britt Baker is allowed to bang other dudes, and she banged Christian Cage.
You what?
And was like banging him. That's what Brad Shepard said, not me. Purely speculative. Okay.
So
but
purely speculative, Phil, but I'm going to say this, considering Adam Cole's current body composition, he does look a bit cookie.
You what? You're saying Adam Cole does look a little cuckish, dude? Hey, I'm not saying that. I ain't saying
All I'm saying is that he's lost a bit of definition. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. That's fair. And so Brad Shepard, the other day, he tweets this out. He says, there has been multiple incidences involving Britt Baker in AEW. Now, he's been covering her for a while, dude. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you, I'm not saying he's right or he could be making some of this up, but before this guy got real canceled, he was like a reputable writer, and like he broke some news, I guess. He broke some stories and stuff like that. And then he got like ultra doxxed for I don't know what. He just says crazy salacious all the time. So I'm sure it's some crazy he said, I don't know. But What I do know is that he's been on Britt's ass for a while, and he says, I am told Britt Baker got into it with Alicia Atout. Previously, I was told Britt caused a big scene over Mariah May using the sling blade. I was also told there was an issue between Britt and Will Washington where she refused to take creative direction from him. I'm even told Will filed an HR complaint against Britt at the time. I tweeted out, and people are like, you didn't hear. Yeah, I did. That, yeah, Britt told Will Washington to go himself. Now, I also covered on the show 2 shows ago. Shout out Duke Loves Wrestling. He was interviewing Devon Dudley. Okay. Marie Shadows was just on the show. She's friends with Devon. She's friends with Duke. She confirmed this, what I was saying on the show, and they thanked me in private for covering this so professionally. Okay, guys? We're pulling the curtain back. So Devon said on that pod that he's like, look, I'm not talking, but everyone I talk to says Will Washington's a snake. They say he's a snake in the grass. You can't trust this guy. If you don't take creative direction from this guy, he buries you to create Tony Khan. He'll bury you to HR and all this like that. So this aligns with that this is because people are saying there's more than one incident. Now, I need to point out that the IWC freaks that we've also been covering on this show, guys, okay? Nobody's putting this together the way I am, all right? The IWC freaks who are going, when Natalia's contract's almost up and they're like, I can't wait for Natalia to be all elite. And then when they realize she re-signed with WWE, they tweet out, I can stop pretending to like Natalia. And they did the same thing with Shane McMahon. WWE Real One is going, oh man, Shane, LOL, we're good. And then now when he's almost there, he's like, I guess I got to start singing Here Comes the Money and stuff like that, right? And these goofs wonder why these wrestlers blocked them. Okay. And those same people now, those same accounts, the AIR Gold and all these people are citing Brad Shepard, the same guy that they melted down and doxed and canceled a million times and said he's full and they hate this guy, right? They're citing his stuff about Britt Baker getting into it with Alicia Mariah to try and justify AEW suspending Britt Baker, and not MJF, who allegedly this Alicia Tout stuff is true. And Britt Baker was talking about MJF in the women's locker room, and then Alicia Tout, who only got a job, we covered it on the show because she started dating MJF, and I like them both, but it is what you got to call a spade a spade. So Alicia Tout goes and tells MJF, hey, Britt's talking about you. Right? And apparently now the rumors are running around in the IWC that everybody doesn't like MJF and he's MAGA MJF now and all this stuff. And apparently MJF stormed in the women's locker room and punched a hole in a wall and got all aggro with Britt Baker. And then Britt got suspended. That's what apparently is going on. Okay. That's the rumors and innuendo going around. So that's the updated version of what I covered on the show before. That's the most in-depth. I have a couple little more bookmarks. I think that will add a little more context to my ranting and raving. But before I get into that, Paul Nolan, your thoughts on MJF storming in a locker room, punching a hole in a wall, allegedly. Britt Baker, I mean, I already know you think she's doing the cuckoldry thing with Adam Cole, but Britt Baker getting into it with Alicia, Mariah May, telling Will Washington to go himself. That's what I heard. She was like, go yourself. What do you make of all of that drama and like AEW suspending her and not MJF, you know?
Can you tell by the look on my face, Phil?
Yeah.
What I think about this.
You're just like, yeah.
What? Clown World, Amateur Hour, Kindergarten. This is why I don't follow AEW anymore. This is why I don't give a fuck about this stupid company. And it's diminishing ratings that is just dropping week by week. The only attention I give to AEW is listening to Brian Last and Cornette breaking down the ratings every week because it's just entertaining, right? And what's going to happen with the TV deal. This is just nonsense. And one of the things that immediately came into my head was, I wonder how long it's going to be before somebody tries to make a legitimate argument that this is all CM Punk's fault. Because honestly, like, I thought he was the cancer.
Yeah, he was the cancer.
Where everything was going to be all unicorns in rainbows when he was gone, and that was going to solve all the problems. And honestly, like, it's just, in fact, I would actually go as far as to say it's probably got worse since he left. Do you know what I mean? At least with, we broke down on the podcast a while ago, didn't we? The whole footage and everything else with Jack Perry and stuff. And by the way, I've just got to give a shout out. Drew's photo with Jungle Boy.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Like, mwah. And Phil would have cleared that as well. Punk would have cleared it. He would have been totally fine with that because it's all about making money, right? I love that. But honestly, all this is just like amateur hour. Yeah. It's why none of them, and I'm going to say something now, this is why none of them, MJF included, are going to end up in WWE.
Yeah. They don't want that.
They don't want to look. Don't get me wrong. They are paying attention to this stuff. And what did I say last year after All In when I watched MJF in the main event against Adam Cole? I said him and Ospreay need to get themselves to WWE immediately because the only way from here is down. Now you've got MJF, who is apparently, persona non grata now in the AEW dressing room. And you've also got Ospreay fighting him at All In for a mid-card title. What the fuck are you doing?
It's so stupid. It's so dumb.
And then it's like, I actually saw the card so far for All In, and I'm like, I wouldn't watch that on a pirated stream.
Yeah, dude.
Never mind, go to the thing. It's absolute nonsense. So all of this with Britt, it's like, we know this has been brewing for a while because she's been off television. She's been quite vocal about it online, this type of stuff, whatever's going on between her and, her boyfriend. I was going to say something inappropriate there.
Her boyfriend, her maybe boyfriend.
Her invested watcher, spectator type person. And all of that stuff, right? And again, this chimes exactly. I mean, I'm really happy you brought Devon stuff up because this chimes entirely. And I know this might sound a bit Captain Hindsight, but even when I was back watching Fightful stuff back in the day when, I watched Fightful,
yeah,
Will just gave me a very disingenuous vibe. You can tell that all of the podcasts he was doing, everything he was doing for Fightful was effectively an extended interview for AEW. And then once Swerve went in there, they played the family card. And the problem is, it's the same thing that MJF's done. Got his girlfriend a job. Everyone gets the wives and girlfriends the job or whatever. And it just shows it's just an amateur hour. Get in here while the going's good. There's a bit of a gravy train that we could all make some money off, but we don't actually give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's why AEW's in the position it's in. It's a laughingstock.
Yeah, and they're like,
why's TNA's ahead of it now?
I know, dude. It is. They're drawing good houses. Dude, TNA's so good, man. You got to watch that wedding angle with Steph and PCO, and then Matt Cardona returns during the wedding. It's so good, man. It's just such sports entertainment. It's great stuff. Somebody said in the chat, though, does Paul know WWE is still under a federal investigation? Well, dude, yeah, we know that, but that's all because of one dude who did like crazy illegal, and WWE's working, or if it's illegal, it's all alleged so far, but WWE's working with the feds to resolve that actively. All because of one guy in the other locker room, no leadership. Everybody's like it's a kindergarten house, like a legal battle where one billionaire tyrant was running rampant on a private plane with kittens. I was just giving my friends kittens.
You've only got to look at Phil, and you've only got to look at what's actually starting to slowly come out. Now this is more in the rearview mirror. Michael Cole coming out saying Vince would say all sorts of inappropriate things to him and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And more of the talent, and even at executive levels, now Vince is on the outs and on his uppers, shall we say, are becoming more vocal about what the environment was there, and it was as toxic as it comes. The problem is that the AEW situation looks to be not similarly toxic, not to that extent, not through one individual, but it's through one individual's lack of leadership, and we all know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We all know who we're talking about.
Oh, come on now, not me. He couldn't be talking about me. So,
yeah, exactly.
Speaking of fed up wrestlers, one of them, and I said this the other day, I was like, man, with all these hack reporters, hack journalists out here, hack sheets, I was like, I'm on Ricky Stark's time now, man. I'm on that wave. There's too many hacks out here running
He'll end up in
guys.
WWE. He'll end up in WWE. You
Yeah,
watch and they'll make
exactly.
a star out of him, I'm telling you.
And he's fed up with this, man, and you see it more and more and more. And you know, Ricky Starks sort of like takes a shot at MJF to add, not a shot, but he just doesn't give a anymore.
Oh,
and
brilliant.
MJF is in CMLL and goes, he tweets out, the whole world is talking about the American champion's debut in CMLL representing our great nation. Thank me later. And then Ricky Starks responds and goes, and ratios MJF and goes, I think they talking about you and Britt, to be honest.
That is the tweet of a man who has run out of fucks to give.
Yeah, you don't give up anymore, dude. And I'm with Ricky, bro. Like, don't you know what I mean? Don't bite your tongue anymore. These amateurs, these hacks, these guys who don't know how to run these business, like, yeah.
Remember 4 or 5 years ago when we were talking about Ricky Starks in the same breath as a young Rock? Like, yeah. I was legitimately seeing talk about that online. That guy's on the trajectory. He's got the look. He's got the vibe. He's incredibly talented in the ring. And this is another thing. This is another reason why I don't give a shit about this organization anymore, is that they can't be trusted with talent. They can't be trusted with young talent. They can't be trusted with the elder statesmen who have come in from WWE, because you've got Edge doing goofy and getting himself injured. And, you know, it shows that, you know, a lot of these ex-WWE guys, they don't thrive in a system that's not as structured. And they're capable of doing just as goofy as anyone else, you know? Yeah. So you're right. It just shows, man, it's like the whole organization's a joke. And, you know, what's Shane going to do? Shane's going in there to basically fuck his dad over. Shane's going to go over there to make some money and basically fuck his dad over in the process, because that's just going to, you know, expose another nerve in this whole succession drama, shall we say. And, you know, I can't see a future for it, man. I mean, I think it'll keep going as long as Tony wants to put money in, but, you know, they'll be doing school gyms in 5 years the way this is going.
For real. No, you're not wrong. And I like this guy in the chat here, King of Hueco Mundo. I'll shut you out. He's just like very much on the AEW side. He's like, well, on everything. And I appreciate you actually putting that in the chat and having that, you know, like, you know, we don't need everyone battling and being gross. And this guy's just giving his perspectives and he's being chill about it. So I do appreciate that. And King of Hueco, he's saying Ricky ain't getting pushed in AEW because he knows he wants to go to WWE. So why give that person AEW time? But that's everyone. Why give Monet time when you know in 3 years she's just going to leave too? Why give Adam Copeland time when he's just going to leave as well, dude? This is like everyone though in AEW is like, hey, we're going to go to WWE one day. Like, they all are thinking it. Why give any of these ex-WWE guys money? Build your own stars. They could have done it with Ricky Starks. That was a guy who was only really known for NWA Power and his time on the indies and stuff like that. They could have built him and made him the face of their company. Him and MJF could have been the two sides of the coin, right? The good and the evil of AEW, the two homegrowns. And they don't do that, bro. So that's why it's like, why give him the TV time? Because he's actually a guy that people want to see. That's your guy that you didn't see anywhere else that was big and prominent. You didn't see him in TNA having an Impact title run. You didn't see that. So AEW was the place to see that. Instead, he wanted to push ex-WWE guys and Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia, who are this. I don't care what anyone says. Light heavyweight division, junior heavyweight, cruiserweight, great. They're awesome. Otherwise, no, you can't fight Wardlow unless he beats you in 2 minutes. So, sorry, you know what I mean? More on this MJF stuff. So, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com, at Sean Ross Sapp, he's doing some damage control. So, he says, clarifying some misconceptions about the MJF Baker Alicia report that for some reason people editorialized on. We never said he barged in. We're told by a number of people he knocked and was granted access. Now, guys, apparently Britt was talking to other girls about MJF being in the women's locker room hanging out with Alicia, apparently. And then Alicia overheard it and went and, you know, or Britt said something to her. So I don't know. But SRS said the argument didn't happen between he and Baker didn't happen. Okay, the argument between he and Baker didn't happen there. Okay, editorialize, Sean. Take your own advice. And that wasn't where the wall got punched. So a wall got punched in another room. Why is a wall getting punched in an argument with a girl dude. Like, that's some bush league amateur, dude. We don't be punching more. That's like some high school. Oh, she dumped me.
Yeah.
Oh, you like
yeah, they
punched
do.
her.
Yeah, they don't want to insinuate that MJF punching a hole in the women's locker room wall has left a glory hole or some sort of like, Porky's
Oh,
kind
thinking of
of
another
like.
hole to punch.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
and
God.
Adam Cole can watch while it's happening.
Oh my goodness.
Fucking hell.
That is hilarious. But yeah, I guess he punched a wall in another room over the fight with Britt Baker. So that makes it better, I guess. I don't
it makes
know,
it slightly less problematic.
Yeah, like it's so silly, man.
Fucking brilliant, honestly.
Oh man, so Lou Fisto, this ties into the whole Lou Fisto.
That letter that she wrote ages ago, right?
Yeah, so I covered it on the show. I clipped it. Back in the day, it did like good hits for when I was getting like 500 hits. Was like, holy, look how this video blew up, And now it's way beyond that. We're over 1 million views on the channel. So round of applause, PWT Universe. You guys are the goats. But yeah, so Lou Fisto, like MJF went after her because she spoke on, I think, with Sean Ross Sapp and was like, backstage in AEW is some, you know what I mean? It's some back there. It's clicky. It's toxic. Britt Baker and these girls, she didn't name her, but she's like, these girls run amok. They treat people like we know Britt Baker and her crew chased Thunder Rosa down and she had to hide in a bathroom stall apparently. And that's the rumor. And Thunder Rosa's a shooter. So that's pretty.
Well, yeah, she was in the CM Punk camp, right? She was very much like a friend of Punk and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so this is a little throwback, but shout out Lou Fisto. I would love to have her on the show sometime, and she has a GoFundMe, guys. Make sure you go and support that if you can, because she's got some procedures coming up. Yeah, just prayers and best wishes to Lou Fisto. But she had talked about it in an interview, and then MJF responded to her and said, if you listen to miserable people who never made it in this sport, that's not exactly the brightest thing to do. Use your brain. So they're saying just shooting hard on Lou Fisto. But MJF says, if someone's been in professional wrestling for over a decade and you find them to be talented, but they've never truly panned out, there's a reason for it. Lack of talent, difficulty to work with, delusional, just to name a few.
Wow, MJF could be talking about himself right now.
Bro, people love to talk ill of companies and will say things like, I'm the only person who's brave enough to speak up, when in reality, the only reason you're spewing is because you are aware deep down you aren't going to make it. So what's the harm in spewing reckless lies and trying to hurt hardworking talent? It's such, bro. MJF, man, imagine this guy likes to go hard on girls. Hey, like this is pretty harsh to say. It's not like, oh, they're a woman, pamper them, but like, dude, she spoke the truth, and you're defending your company, and this is your truth, but you're not in there as a woman in the woman's locker room fighting for a spot or whatever. Like, in the women's aspect of thing, dude, you're already getting a multi-million-dollar deal as a 26-year-old or whatever. Oh God, it just seems weird, bro. You're punching walls over arguments with Britt or what? Like, that all seems cringe, bro. I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna put that out there. Shout out MJF though. You're good in the ring and stuff, but he says we have an amazing women's locker room. Sorry, not sorry. Lou Fisto wanted to remind everybody of that. Like, hey, remember what MJF said to me? He would know about the women's locker room type. I tweeted out here, Britt Baker also told Will Washington to himself when he tried to give her creative direction. So he filed an HR complaint against her and complained to Tony Khan. That's what I'm hearing. And yeah, I don't know. I had to respond to myself. I think I tweeted out again. I was like, don't be mad at me. I'm not the one who put it out there, because I'm not. I came with receipts tonight, guys. I said, I'm not breaking any news. I have receipts of other people's tweets saying this stuff, and now the Stan accounts are parodying it too. They are. Go look up AIR Gold, and they're reciting the guy they canceled's news now to try and go anti-Brit because they have to stand up for AEW management no matter what. That's what makes me think these accounts are operated by AEW people. They have to be. But anyways, I just said I have receipts of other people's tweets saying this stuff, and now the Stan accounts are parodying it too. I'm not saying it's true, but that's what's floating around out there, because it is. So I don't know. Shout out myself for
absolutely
keeping it real. I guess I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I just tell you the truth. What's
Phil,
that?
you always come correct, mate. You always come correct. And
Yeah.
what I'd say about the Brit situation with Will Washington is good honour, because quite frankly, has Will Washington ever stepped in a wrestling ring? Has Will Washington ever booked a match?
Nope.
Has he ever produced a match?
Nope.
Has he ever booked a card?
Nope.
Has he ever promoted?
Nope.
No, he hasn't.
Nope.
And it's the equivalent of me DJing in front of 5,000 people and the cleaner coming into the DJ booth telling me that I shouldn't have played that record at that point. It's like, with all due respect, you clean toilets off. Right? Like, I'm just not having it with this at all, mate. The whole Will Washington thing, it's like, the man's not a good faith player and he never has been. And, you know, unfortunately, like, we're seeing the outputs of that. And I did love that tweet below that you had there that said that all I know is that Will Washington was brought in to help with the creative and booking. And since he walked through the door, it's gotten worse and worse.
It's gotten worse. Yeah. And I got for that too, because I was like, dude, I follow Will Washington. I don't hate on him. I always think he's like a cordial, chill dude. But my whole thing is, like, wasn't he brought in for the long-term booking and cohesive storytelling? That's been the worst aspect of AEW since he's been brought in. Like, it's gone downhill, I feel like.
Because
so
he was e-fapping himself with his two mates on a podcast at Fightful with belts in the background. That gives you the qualifications to do a job.
So Dave Meltzer said what? The GOAT sent me this. So it's time for our first of probably many. Dave Meltzer, dumb moments of the week. I know Paul Nolan's been itching to hear this flute. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Flutes in the
I've
chat,
missed this,
man.
Phil. I've missed this.
Me too, man. So red alert. The Britt Baker suspension is causing a civil war on the Observer board. So this is just Observer in general. Yeah, we get a civil war breaking out. I didn't read any of this. Let's see. So here's Meltzer himself saying, people literally, actually, except, have no, idea what, my Tony Khan job is or how the world works. So he goes, people literally have no idea what my job is or how the world works in its entirety because they disagree with your wrestling opinions, Dave. So Dave goes, somebody leaked. It was nothing. Incident. Past people having a heated discussion. The discipline committee did a 1-week suspension. Okay, but Dave, remember when like Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens had words when Kevin Owens slapped him and you blew it up like there's possibly heat on Kevin Owens. Someone got suspended for this. And you're like, it was a nothing incident. Then why did someone get suspended? You weirdo. Dave's a weirdo. Okay, guys? He is a weirdo. Sorry. So a heated discussion. The discipline committee did a 1-week suspension. Meantime, shout out Bryan Danielson. Meantime, WWE is in a lawsuit with hundreds of millions and
the
potentially billions at stake.
The whataboutism there is absolutely disgraceful. It's like, no, it has absolutely no connection. It's not an apples to apples, comparison whatsoever. Like, stay in your lane, bro. Like,
you what?
Just analyze the details of the story that is at hand.
Bro, and they removed the guy who caused all that, and they're cooperating and everything with the investigation. Is it egg on the head? Is it cake on the face? Yeah, to WWE, yeah, it is, and that's why they're working to resolve it. It's so crazy to do a whataboutism here about a guy getting in an argument, and then, but WWE's in a lawsuit over where they fired everyone who was involved.
I
got rid of everyone who's involved. How is this, Dave? Oh, he's lost it. He's a sick, twisted person.
I cannot wait for the reaction when what I think is going to happen with exactly what he's talking about is going to happen, which is it's going to be settled out of court. It's going to be tucked away nice and neat, and everyone's going to be looked after, and everyone's going to make out and everything else.
Everyone's going to make out.
And honestly, like, what I mean by that is like everyone's going to be made whole by the situation as much as possible out of court because they don't want that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants the, the ugliness of a trial and everything else. So I do think it all gets settled out of court. I can't wait for the response of these idiots when that happens because they don't operate in reality. I used to read. I mean, this is a bit of a tangent, but like I was very young when I read Machiavelli, The Prince. And the big thing that taught me is you have to look at the world the way it is, not the way you want it to be.
Yep.
The problem is these guys and their and the people who subscribe to this, and other people online, they are viewing the world consistently in the state of their own idealism and how they want it to be against how it actually is in objective reality.
Yep. Objective reality, man. That's what it is, dude. Feels versus reels. Reels got to win every time, man. Dave goes on to say, the incident wasn't a secret. This isn't somebody leaked. It was literally a few sentence story in a 26-page issue that covered 2 of the actual biggest stories as far as both companies are concerned in years.
Is that 26 pages to Dave, which means it's a paragraph to everyone else?
And he thinks it's like the Holy Bible. I've covered it so much on the show. Like, he thinks, oh, you've clearly never read my 5,000 words on Hangman Page. Yeah, who the f*** gonna do that, Dave? You idiot. You sick weirdo. You sick freak.
Clean your room, Dave.
Guys, joining us back here, Chris Connor. Chris Connor, what's up, buddy? We're just we're going after Dave here. We're laughing at him. We're LOL cowing this LOL cow. So,
now I'm a bit disappointed in you because we were talking on Twitter, and I was expecting that if you ever met Dave, you would go after him. There'd be fireworks. You would be throwing down the hammer, fisticuffs. You'd be smashing the keyboard. You're like, no, I would not do that.
No, I would just troll him, dude. I didn't troll him.
No, Chris, that's my job. That's my job. That's my job.
Yeah, that's what Paul Nolan does. Me, I'm coming in and just like, I'm trying to record a conversation with him to get him to give me like something that I could use on PWT for like an intro for the show. Like, I'm a troll, dude. I just Alex Stein him. I wouldn't take it too seriously. But we have more like a civil war breaking out here in the message boards here for Meltzer. So Meltzer goes, or somebody responds to Meltzer. Lionel Hutt says, dude, you post insider information to a paying fan base who absolutely love the gossip drama side of the business on a weekly basis. I really am not sure what you were expecting in the year of 2024 with the amount of reactionary weirdos there are out there. So like even Dave's own people, dude Phil, are waking up.
Dude,
and
can
they're
I just
like,
give a massive
Dave.
shout out to Lionel Hutt's attorney at law there. That's amazing.
Dude.
It reminds me that I remember that episode of The Simpsons where like this little girl comes up to him and says, "Mommy says you're a shyster," and his reply is, "That's a big word coming from such a little mouth."
Yeah, dude. Oh man, it is golden. It is so good. And so this another guy responds, the Fro. He says, you literally printed everyone was attempting to keep this under wraps and went into much more detail than usual in terms of the discipline process, length of suspension. It's very obvious someone wanted to get their side of the story out for this one. The leaks to you are what made this a notable story report instead of just a quote nothing incident. So like Dave, he never ceases to amaze me with his backtracking, fumbling. Brian Alvarez.
That photo of Brian. I'm sorry. That photo of Brian.
I'm a kung fu guy. Who are these geeks? I like kung fu. You know that. Hi-ya. I'm a kung fu cat. So funny, dude. So Brian Alvarez says, no, it's not. I've talked to, so someone else, Day One-ish, says, it's not like it was a straight news either. Most people were sympathetic to Britt Baker as editorializing. And then Alvarez says, no, it's not. I've talked to a dozen people today, including friends of Max, and that's the consensus. It's a big part of the story. Yeah, so friends of Max it's a big part of the story. You guys are friends with Max. You guys are the ones who are friends with everybody, man.
Tell us what you know, you goddamn liar!
These people are insane. I just love seeing the meltdowns. We also have down here, you see it. Phil Marks comes with receipts, guys. So here's AIR Gold posting a Britt Baker timeline a la Brad Shepard, who they all buried and canceled and Uber canceled and tried to make hide in a wormhole here. Britt Baker allegedly said something about MJF and Alicia, and MJF confronted her. HR investigated and suspended Britt for a week. If it was for a week, which isn't a long time at all, she should be at Dynamite this week, which isn't a long time at all. Why is she suspended? What else is rumored? Britt had issues with Mariah May using the sling blade. Britt allegedly refused to take creative direction from Will Washington, and Will fired an HR complaint against her. Well, you're quoting Brad Shepard, so you want to start saying what he said? Hey, AIR Gold, you better start talking about how he alleges Britt Baker's banging Christian Cage and all this other crazy salacious if that's what you guys want to start parodying now. I wonder who's talking to Meltzer as well. Meltzer said, what? The GOAT? Throws it up there, man. He's the GOAT. He sent me this directly to remind me. I don't want to take anything away from Britt's performance. This is after the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker hardcore match where she's all bloody and the 5-star infamous bloody face picture. Dave gave it 5 stars, and here's her getting stitched up after that match. So here's this incestuous weird relationship, and now the Dave's own message boards are going at him, and it's all over this right here.
Maybe Meltzer will like it. Let's do it. I already told you that's my goal. Oh, wait.
Meltzer. Maybe Meltzer will like it. Maybe he'll give it 5 stars. That's what she's
really
worried
typical.
about.
This is really typical, right? So I'll give you a music industry metaphor for this, or like an equivalent. What I've always taught artists, because I do a lot of artist development work, is that you should never try and second guess somebody else's taste, because it results in the worst art imaginable, because it becomes contrived and it becomes based on a projection, possibly sometimes off the back of somebody that you haven't even met. This is what's happening in AEW. They're basically trying to make matches to satisfy somebody that either they don't know, they think they've got some sort of mythical understanding of who he is and what he likes, and that is just a one-way ticket towards exactly what's happening within AEW. If these people actually looked at trying to satisfy themselves and satisfy a proper creative direction, maybe AEW wouldn't be in the position it's in.
And also ask, who are the leaders of the locker room? Like, who are the people that who are
what
like the
leaders,
adults?
Chris? There aren't any.
And that's the problem. I mean, like you. I remember when you talked to guys in WWE, it's like you had the Undertakers, you had guys like Sheamus, you had guys even like Randy Orton. Later now in his career, who you could look and go, they knew how to command the room. They knew how to be like the adults. They knew how to sort of straighten people out. And there's nobody in this locker room. I mean, you want to say Dustin Rhodes, but he's almost so far down the card that nobody looks at and respects him almost. It's the Young Bucks. It's MJF. It's Will Ospreay. And they're so indie that it's almost like everybody looks and goes, all right, it's fractions. And this is high school. Yeah, and that's exactly the problem. It's high school kids, policing high school kids.
Yeah. And Chris, I completely agree with you, even to the extent that you've got legitimate WWE Hall of Famers like Edge going in there, and they're not leading. They're basically going there to do goofy that they couldn't get away with in WWE and injuring themselves. So it's really sad when you think that, somebody like a prime Adam Copeland could have gone in there and gone, look, okay, like, let's just sort this out. And he didn't. He just played into it all and decided to jump off cages and break his ankle.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not giving anyone advice. And like, it's like, well, you should.
You should, because you're the elder statesman. So actually, you're abdicating your responsibilities as an elder statesman, a legit Hall of Famer, somebody who I looked up to, as you know, Phil. Like, I was a massive Edge fan. Absolutely loved seeing him at Mania 39 in that Hell in a Cell match with Finn Balor. Just heartbreaking to actually see, like, now he's outside of that structure, exactly what kind of person he is, and it's really disappointing. And like Chris says, there's no leadership, nobody is driving the boat, and we're heading towards the edge of the waterfall here, shall we say. But just one little point on the Observer as well, quickly. I think we're rapidly approaching a singularity of the collapse of the Wrestling Observer, like, whole brand, quite frankly, because you see stuff like that on message boards. That's normally the beginning of the end. And I'll give a very sort of brief comparison. There was a website that everybody used to sign up to in the football world a long time ago, which was about Liverpool Football Club. And it was about this guy supposedly was running this message board, and he had inside info on transfers and what players were signing, who was going to get bought, who was going to get sold. And of course, he knew absolutely nothing. And it's like a Meltzer situation. And then, like, everybody turned on each other. The whole thing collapsed. And there was even like a fraud investigation into the guy that was like running, and he made off with everybody's money. I'm not saying it's going to get to that with the Wrestling Observer, but it's a similar situation of these people are being consistently fed garbage, and it's being consistently disproven. And we're going to get to a point where people are going to think, well, what the fuck am I even paying for this every month? Because it's just nothing. It's just a big load of basically it's nothing.
Just to wrap up this Britt stuff quickly, Dave Shears says, so Britt was suspended for a week for conduct, and Uncle Dave says everyone is on her side. We all know he didn't talk to everyone. I'm pretty sure we know the one person who gave him her side. What a journalist. Hashtag clean your office. And then Meltzer said what? Says there's two different versions of the story going around. We already covered it. It's a nothing burger, and then it is the biggest deal on planet fucking Earth. And with that, that was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. We'll play a flute.